As the great independent director Mr. Werner Herzog once said, I despise formal restaurants. I find all of that formality to be very base and vile. I would much rather eat potato chips on the sidewalk.
We're potato boys in a podcast world. Movie magic. It's fantastic. Hello and welcome to Potato Chips on the Sidewalk. I am Jacob and joining me today is...
Jacob didn't tell me he was going to do that. I'm Barbecue Ben. This Barbie is Barbecue Ben. Oof, is this where we're going? Alright, Jacob, what film did we see tonight?
We saw probably the most anticipated and definitely the most marketed film of this year. Greta Gerwig directed movie Barbie.
Jacob, what did you think of the lead up to all this in the media?
Well, I really like Greta Gerwig's Little Women and Lady Bird, and I think she does a fantastic job at writing in Frances Ha, and overall fantastic actor as well. This had very organic to begin with hype, and then probably had the biggest marketing campaign Warner Brothers has had since Suicide Squad, and
That bodes well.
Like, it's a lot better than Suicide Squad 2016, but like a lot better. But yeah, it's that definitely did sort of like, okay, I'm not 18 anymore. Like I'm sure if I was like still in my MCU phase, like I was as a teenager, I would be like, hell yeah, this is awesome. But I'm just kind of getting to the point where like, okay, marketing's marketing, and yeah, there's excessive hype about this. Obviously, a lot of it around Barbie and Oppenheimer releasing on the same day. But yeah, I just kind of was like, all right, I like Greta Gerwig. You know, I was really open to liking this film, and I did like this film, but yeah, I'd been barraged by this movie because I'm online. What about you, Ben?
I think Greta Gerwig was given a task, and that is to make a film about a toy line. And she succeeded at that task.
Yeah.
But the film itself, I thought, was kind of just an oxymoron. Where it's, you know, like, for everything, you know, like, it talks about, you know, like, feminism and the dangers of being an incel, and aren't these corporate capitalist fucks terrible, but at the end of the day, it's still doing the thing that it's making fun of. You know, like, as much as you can say, Mattel is a big evil corporation, and the Warner Brothers Discovery building is in the background, isn't all this corporate stuff scary? It's still doing that. Like, it doesn't break free of that at any point. I got to pee during one part of the film, and when I came back, I was already not loving it. And then I came back, and they were literally throwing stuff at the camera and freeze framing and telling you what those products are in real life that they're throwing at the screen. Which I thought was like pretty much how this is like the perfect encapsulation of what the film is.
I don't disagree with you. I definitely feel a bit more charitable to it though, because like there's an interesting sort of reckoning it's having with itself. Like, this is the value of the Barbie toys, that it is this, you know, idealized world that should be inspirational, aspirational for females, like, in such a patriarchal world. And, like, yeah, it's like, it's trying to have a conversation. It's like, all right, what are the pitfalls of the idealistic message and imagery that the Barbie brand has given across? But yeah, it's like, in all honesty, I think this would have played a lot better for me if it was parodying Barbie, or not parodying, but, like, you know, obviously being about Barbie but not being Barbie branded, because I think at the end of the day, by virtue, it is a toy commercial, or, like, that's at least how Mattel sees it as. I don't know if that's how Gerwig sees it. I think there's a lot in there to suggest that, no, she does legitimately care about this project and the characters and the world and the story she's telling. And it's a very poignant and, I think at times, really well done and emotional message and commentary it's having. But this is going to sound... Tell me if you don't know what I'm talking about, but do you know those, like, commercials that go viral, which, like, tell a pretty, like, emotional story, and, like, they tug at the heartstrings, and
what, the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom one?
Yeah, and, like, you know, they can be pretty powerful, but then there is that, oh, by the way, buy a product, and that kind of just, you know, it's kind of hard to tell. It's kind of hard, I don't know, maybe this is just me not liking advertising by virtue, but yeah, it's just, you know, it's just like, there's a whiplash between, let's actually reckon with this brand, what it stands for, the balance of having an idealized world in an imperfect world, and how that can be good and how can be bad, and what the right balance is, and yeah, Mattel, we're gonna do better now.
But it's not even just Mattel.
Yeah.
You know, like, you said to me, and I was thinking the same thing at the same time, but, like, wow, look at these 3 cars of the same brand in a car chase. It's
boy, for some reason, I really want to buy a Chevrolet. Like,
it's just... The thing is, for me, is that, like, sure, there have been other film franchises based on a toy line, you know, like Transformers and G.I. Joe and that kind of stuff. And
the Lego movie. I think the Lego movie is an apt comparison.
Like, obviously, you know, like, they're based on toy lines. And I hate to use G.I. Joe and Transformers as something that I'd prefer a movie to have done, but the plot of this movie is just corporatism is what the plot is. Like, Transformers and G.I. Joe, like, they're existing in, like, a world of their own and telling, like, a fictional story in that universe, and this is just like too meta for me by nature, where as I said, Greta Gerwig was given a task, make a bloody a Barbie movie, and I think the reason why it took 15 years for them to make it since they first announced it or whatever, is that how do you make a movie out of Barbie? And I think the only reason this one got made is that it's the only way you can do it is just like, oh, let's just talk about, you know, like, let's make a movie about the toy line existing in its own world. Like, do you get what I'm saying here? Like, it's...
Yeah, no. Well, it's like...
There was no possible way to make this movie without making it a huge ad. And I don't want to...
Yeah,
I don't want to bag on it too much for that, but it's just... by its nature, I just am not interested in that as a storytelling just premise.
Well, look, for me, it's like it's simultaneously one of the more interesting things the film does, because, you know, like, it's a brand and a filmmaker reckoning with the brand, but also there is that internal, by nature, like, by our product, you know, because, like, that's the thing. I think it's actually worth exploring this, because, like, the Lego movie, while it does, it's very much, oh, by the way, and by Lego, it's a bit more cowardly in Barbie in that it tries to, like, there's no reckoning with its own brand, and I guess it doesn't really need to, because, like, people aren't as, like, there isn't as much, like, political and cultural discourse about the ethics of Lego than there is Barbie. But, like, yeah, the Lego movie doesn't reckon with itself, which I guess kind of makes it more cowardly. And this does, but it also makes it an oxymoron.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is, like...
Yeah.
This...
I like the movie, by the way.
Okay, well, I didn't, so we got two opposing views. But the thing for me is, like, Mattel allows itself to be criticized, but, like, they allow Greta Gerwig to criticize them as much as they say that she can.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I don't want to throw anything onto Greta Gerwig. You know, like, I'm sure there'll be people, you know, using the word sell out here and there. I don't want to put that on to her at all. She was given a job by the corporation to do this. She took the job. That's totally fine. There's nothing against her to do that at all. But when there's just, like, a level of artifice in her, in the criticisms, like, there's no... I feel like the criticisms are all very surface level, because they're like, oh, how can we make a Barbie? You know, like, what are the things that people criticize about Barbie? We got to put all those in the movies so we can let them know that we know as well. And they give that to, like, a 12 or 13-year-old character in real life, where there's just a scene where she just basically looking directly at the camera, like, these are all the reasons why Barbie is problematic. And it's only there to appease the people who are going to criticize it for those things, in a way that it's just like, oh, you're going to criticize this film? Well, we already addressed all those things, but it just kind of says what the criticisms are without ever, in my mind, really, you know, like, tackling them, or, like, you know, going through the actual process of reckoning with them. It's just, oh, we've acknowledged them, so let's just move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it didn't do... I just want to, you know, like, on top of everything I'm saying here, it's going to be a hit with audiences.
Yeah.
People are going to really like it. It's going to make a ton of money. It set out to do what it needed to do for that. I just think in 5 years' time, somebody's going to be like, oh, Barbie is on Netflix or HBO Max or whatever streaming service your country has it on. And they're going to watch it and be like, it's not going to feel the same for them as it did when they first watched it this year in cinemas. It's just not going to hold up to the hype at all.
No, yeah. And look, the thing is, I think its overall message that the film is primarily concerned of is good. Like, there is this, whole thing about the patriarchy, but also like how to balance this idealized world and how to balance the realities of the world. And I think that's good in it. But yeah, as you said, it's like you can only do that so much without hurting the Mattel brand, and it's not going to hurt the Mattel brand. Like,
do we want to talk a little bit about the Mattel brand?
Not really. I actually kind of because look, there's a lot to say on here, and we just finished the movie like about less than an hour ago, or actually no, just over an hour ago. So
about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's a lot of conversations had about it, but yeah, I think avoid spoilers and spoiler-free review.
Oh no, I'm not talking about spoilers. I'm talking about Mattel in real life.
Yeah.
Because I got 2 points I want to bring up.
Yeah.
I googled it after watching the film because I realized I hadn't seen anything like it before, and I googled plus size Barbie. Like, have they done a plus size doll? And they've done something that they call a curvy Barbie, which to the naked eye, looking at a picture of it right now next to a regular Barbie, doesn't look much different to me at all. It's just kind of the bare minimum of saying, see, we made like, I'm going to send it through to you now. Yeah. Where it's just, sure, you can call that a curvy Barbie, but does that look like it's really doing much to, do anything else? Do you know what I mean? Like, does that look like enough to you?
Look, it's like, again, I think it's something that's like, I guess it's an okay first step, but it's not like the pinnacle of body diversity. And
what I'm trying to say with this point is, in the film, there is a plus size Barbie.
Yeah.
And they do a whole, song and dance about, like how Barbie has represented so many different types of women throughout the, like the history of its brand, and like it's done everything it could to be inclusive. And it represents a plus size Barbie character in the movie. But then, like seeing in real life how they've only taken like a half step to really do that with their toy line, and then to do it in the movie. It just, a lot of that stuff just feels kind of disingenuous to me, where it's like, oh, in our movie, we're representing everyone we can, but then at the end of the day, it is a toy commercial, and the toys they're selling aren't offering what they're putting up on screen. Like, it's just a little bit murky to me, at least. And the second point I want to make is that I just got a little bit of a extract from Wikipedia here. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit just to give some context. On February 24th, 2021, an action heist comedy film based on the game Uno was announced to be in development for Mattel Films, with Lil Yachty on record label Quality Control Music developing and being eyed for the lead role alongside the label managers Kevin Coach K. Lee and Pierre P. Thomas, and Brian Scher for Quality Films producing and whatever. What is going on at Mattel? They're making an Uno movie starring Lil Yachty and being developed by Lil Yachty. I just...
Well, that
late stage capitalism, which is a big critique point for the film. Like they're doing it. They're doing the late stage capitalism while putting up this artifice of like, oh, in our film, aren't we so like, with it, and we understand all the bad stuff and we're criticizing it. And then it's just, I'm just so burnt out on the film franchising model is what I'm trying to say, basically.
I understand, and yeah, it's like the New Yorker article, which said Mattel are planning about like 45 films and shows.
45.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That is a part of the film. It's an unquestionable part of the film, and it's what led it's what left the sour taste in my mouth here. But I actually think there's a good film in there. Like I genuinely do think there's a good film in here, and a lot of it is good. I think it works well as like a sort of playful comedy and like social commentary. Like not always perfect, but like I think the social commentary is strong and playful enough. But yeah, there is that, and yeah, I guess like because we haven't really discussed the premise of it. It's, you've probably seen the trailers. Barbie has an existential crisis, goes to the real world, and then all hell breaks loose.
That's a funny way to describe it.
Yeah, but like, there's like that's like the gist of it, and I feel like weirdly enough, the last third of this film is by far the strongest.
Oh, I think that too. Yeah.
But
I think it did pick up at the end. The
first two acts, I don't know what happened here. I'm not gonna. History will tell itself, but like it was a bit bizarre seeing how eager to sprint to the finish line the first two acts were.
Yeah.
Like there's like pretty much most of the stuff you see in the trailer is the first 15-20 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
And then it just rushes through a lot of the real world stuff. And yeah, it's weird, but it's like, that's the thing. I think there's like a genuinely good and emotional story in there. Like I think Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are actually really, really good in it. Like I think both give like a proper balance of pathos, but also like the sort of comedic fish out of water, thing. Like they do that well.
Yeah.
But there is just like okay, can't we just stay in this moment a little more?
Well, that's one thing I want to bring up is Ken's first little aside by himself. It's just such a weirdly rushed scene where it's just like...
But such an integral scene as well.
Yeah, and like you're out of it before you realise you're even in it. And it's just kind of... It's odd. And like, I don't want to say I didn't like any of this stuff. I think there's like a lot of like individually great sequences and scenes in the film.
Yeah.
But everything tying it together just feels stilted in places. Like there's a lack of energy where there should be energy in some scenes, and it's also like there was stuff in the trailer that felt better edited, even though it was cut down in the trailer than what it's displayed in the stuff in the trailer feels like it should have been bar for bar, cut for cut in the film, but like it's just kind of slowed down. I get Greta Gerwig does, like her like Lady Bird does, a lot of its comedic scenes are a little slow and stilted on purpose in that way. But in this, it just felt like there was a little bit of like lack of energy. And it felt off to me overall. Like, you say like an hour 54 minutes. I think like there's a really good like 100-minute film in here.
Well, that's the thing, because it's like I sort of get what you say. Like I personally would have just cut out the entire board of Mattel run by Will Ferrell, and the sex education guy plays the intern. And
why
the guy
was half the cast of Sex Education in this film?
Yeah, and like, why even get Ncuti Gatwa, who's like a very good actor, and give him like
he had
a
like
line?
no lines at all. Yeah.
She had like one line. Yeah. And like Emma Mackey like also isn't used enough. Yeah, anyway, but that's besides the point. Like the Mattel thing I really think derails the entire film.
Yeah.
Because like I agree, like the film simultaneously goes too fast, but it slows down for Mattel to be like, yes, we're run by all men, and then it's just like, okay, like, you know,
Yeah,
it's like there's like weird like brand apologia, but it's winking.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, I was like, I almost would have preferred if, because that's the thing. As I've said, the actual idea of reckoning this idealized world for women in a world that's so cruel to women, that's a really good idea. And I think dolls are a really interesting and good like vessel to tell that story.
I feel like that is a good way to tell the story if Barbie was in the public domain and this was made by an independent
That's what I mean.
company.
That's what I mean. There is this sort of backside covering from Mattel in the film that's quite pervasive and derailing. And that's the thing. It's like, essentially, yeah, Ken, when he's exposed to the real world, and in the Barbie world, he's having a lot of issues with...
He's quite literally an incel.
Well, yeah, he becomes consumed by the patriarchy once he's exposed to it in the real world. And, like, that's good. But then it's also, like, that is also derailed by Mattel being like, we're all men, but then, like, I guess, you know, while it's more resolved at the end of... Like they're never properly meant to be as evil as they are. Like, they're kind of like... They're villains, but they're not evil. And it feels like it's in this sort of limbo where they're like... They have a function in the film, but they're not allowed to properly be that function.
Yeah, like, they're never allowed to be the villains. They're just like an opposing force without being...
They're opposing aloof people. Like,
Yeah.
who like weaponize wokeness, which, like, you know, that's the thing to comment on, but then like, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. Yeah. But like, yeah.
And, you know, like, there's a lot going for, you know, like, I think, like, you know, like, the film is very well cast.
Yeah.
Overall. And then there's Simu Liu.
This is the first film I've ever seen him in, so I didn't, he wasn't bad. I think he was pretty good in it.
I don't know, man. Like, it just does nothing for me in general. But just, yeah, like, it's got a pretty stacked cast. I said this to you earlier, but like, this is probably the best thing that Will Ferrell's been in for a long time. He's like, you know, he's probably like like, he's doing what was asked of him, but like, I don't know, like, you know, it's hard for me to say good things about this film without being like, oh, but then like something else creeps up on me, and I'm like, it's just left a really bad taste in my mouth overall. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to get into?
Yeah, I do actually, because like, I think so much of this, I feel mostly positive about this film despite the overall tone of this podcast. But then again, this podcast is two people talking about a film to each other. So like, like if someone leans one way, someone leans a bit more the other way. That's just how you know
how it goes.
That's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, I think the acting's really good. I think I really actually admire some of the risks it took. Like, it's nice to see a blockbuster that actually embraces artificiality in its aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like, I actually really...
Design-wise.
Yeah,
like,
incredible.
In
It's
Barbie
incredible.
World, at least. Like, I did not like how muted it got in the real world. Like, I get the function of that, but it looked especially grey overall.
Yeah. I mean, but like, I think it was Rodrigo Prieto who's Scorsese's main cinematographer. I think he did it. But yeah, it's like yeah, I think like I like the artificialness of the world, and I think the actual integral story about this push and pull between the idealized world that Barbie presents for women and the reality for women, that's really, I think a lot of that is effective, but it's clouded by it not necessarily being a Barbie film, but being a Barbie film produced by Mattel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think overall it's good. I like the energy of a lot of it, like and it's like a lot of it is funny, and as you said, there's a lot of good jokes and individual sequences, and yeah, but it's clouded by something that I'm like, yeah, I probably don't. It doesn't settle well with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's two boys talking about Barbie movie.
Can you believe that us two men went to see the Barbie movie?
Okay,
Isn't
for
that crazy?
context, me and some of my friends, we have a long running joke where there are some men who seem like to really want to broadcast they as men were really excited for the friggin' Barbie movie. Like,
yeah, that's so cool.
And it's like yeah, like
Okay.
cool. Like, I was looking forward to this as well. Like, but yeah, it's just yeah. I don't know. I think also it's good to have blockbusters that are trying to, which are actually about feelings,
Yeah.
I think that's something I really actually like about the film, like it's and what it means for the wider blockbuster world. I just don't like it's for a toy commercial though.
Yeah. One last thing, another gripe.
Oh no.
The Oscar buzz Ryan Gosling is getting for this. He's really good in this role. Can we be serious? Let's be fucking for real for 1 second. If this wins Best Supporting Actor for Ryan Gosling, I like Ryan Gosling, but can we all be serious for a second? Like, it's like, have you seen The Nice Guys? Jacob, have you seen The Nice Guys?
Yeah, I literally saw it with you.
I don't know why I made that as the premise, but like, Ryan Gosling in The Nice Guys is a million times better than in this. Like, it's just there's.
I don't think every film needs to be an Oscar-worthy film.
That's what I'm trying to say with like
to be legitimate. Like,
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve an award for his acting. He's really good, but there are certain there's a certain attitude where people just want to attach Oscar buzz to something they like, whether or not it's really the type of thing that it needs. Like.
Yeah, but you also got to remember the Academy are looking for relevancy now, so I don't think it's out of the picture, honestly.
Yeah, but I think that's a bad thing. But what I'm trying to say is,
yeah, I understand.
Me bringing up The Nice Guys was me just trying to say, stumbling over my words as I usually do. Ryan Gosling was probably my favorite performance of 2016 in The Nice Guys. At no point was I like, Best Actor. Like, it's just not the thing that I think that type of performance needs to make it legitimate.
Yeah, and look, I think comedic performances should honestly be more rewarded by the Academy, but I think it's like there tends to be the wrong sort of comedic performance that gets nominated.
Yeah. Anyway, that's me being groveling about this dang darn Barbie movie. I'm so grumpy. I'm a man. I don't like the Barbie movie. I'm sorry. I'm sure the people who are excited for the Barbie movie will like it.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a well-liked. It's going to be a hit.
That's the thing. At the end of the day, like, am I going to, like, if somebody's like, oh man, I'm so excited for the Barbie movie, and then they go watch it and they're like, I really like the Barbie movie, I'm not going to be like, you're fucking wrong. It's just a movie that was quite literally made for anybody but myself.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's how I feel. Yeah, I'm not mad that people are going to like it. It's going to be really liked. It is what it is. But yeah.
That's exactly it. It is what it is, and it's not for your boy Benjamin. Oh.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Okay? What was that?
Huh?
What was that?
Was my whole world crumbling down around me after the stans found out that I didn't like the Barbie movie, and they're knocking on my doors, trying to burn my house down because I am not a stan.
I like the movie.